I wish you were dead." My son's words hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Mark, my 42-year-old son, Stanford-educated, 6'2" of pure fury, stood in my Scottsdale living room screaming at me, Lisa Ann Foster, the woman who sold her mother's Art Deco wedding ring for $47,000 to cover his law school deposit housing and moving, every last start-up penny to plant his future right. My hand didn't shake when I picked up my phone, didn't tremble when I dialed. My voice? Honey, it was cold as a Minnesota winter. Richard, Lisa Foster, freeze distributions and suspend his signatory privileges, then remove Mark from everything, the properties, the trust, the business accounts, everything, now. You should have seen his face drain wider than my Christmas tablecloth. My 6'2" successful real estate developer dropped to his knees like a puppet with cut strings. "Mom, please, I didn't mean—" "Oh, baby boy," I said, sweeter than poison peach cobbler, "that bridge didn't just burn, it exploded." And honey, that wasn't even the best part. Because standing in my hallway, hidden in the shadows, was his precious wife Kimberly, watching, smiling, like she just won the lottery. See, what my son didn't know that Tuesday afternoon was that I'd been 3 steps ahead of both of them for days. What his wife didn't know, her little scheme was about to become my checkmate. But let me back up and tell you how we got here, because this story has more layers than my mama's 7-layer dip at the church potluck. And trust me, every single layer is spicy. If that first sip of sweet tea just turned bitter sugar, wait till you hear the rest. Go on and hit subscribe, because this family fire's just getting started, and you don't want to miss who gets burned next. Let me paint you a picture of my life before everything went to hell in a Hermes handbag. My name is Lisa Ann Foster, 68 years old, widow of Robert Foster, decorated Vietnam vet, Purple Heart recipient, the love of my life for 43 years until cancer took him 6 years ago. We built everything together. The house in Scottsdale, worth $4.2 million, that was my inheritance from Daddy's law practice. Robert always joked I was the brains and he was the charm. And Mark, Lord have mercy, that boy was all our world. Golden Child doesn't even begin to cover it. Quarterback at Phoenix Preparatory Academy, Stanford Law class of 2006, passed the Arizona bar on his first try. By 35, he'd built what everyone called a real estate empire. 6 rental properties across Texas and Arizona, worth $8.7 million, a lake house in Tahoe for $3.2 million, his own development company called Foster & Associates. The American dream, right? Self-made success story. Except here's what nobody knew. Not his business partners, not his country club buddies, not even his wife. Every single penny came from me. My inheritance, Robert's life insurance, my teacher's pension I cashed out early when Mark needed capital for his business. But I didn't mind. He was my son, my baby boy, the last piece of Robert I had left in this world. Then he married Kimberly Clark in 2018, former Miss Texas runner-up from 2015, blonde hair that cost more to maintain than my first car, yoga instructor turned lifestyle influencer turned professional housewife. I'll admit, she was beautiful, charming, had Mark absolutely hypnotized from day one. I tried to like her, I really did. Threw her a bridal shower at the Scottsdale Country Club, spent $12,000 on flowers alone, smiled through her tacky bachelorette party in Vegas, where she posted videos doing shots with strangers, bit my tongue when she convinced Mark they needed a destination wedding in Cabo, $200,000 for 3 days of tequila and bad decisions. But something about her never sat right with me. Call it mother's intuition. Call it the ghost of my daddy, Phoenix's most feared attorney for 40 years, whispering warnings in my ear. That girl looked at my son like a coyote looks at a chicken coop. The cracks started showing at their 4th of July barbecue this year. Mark and Kimberly hosted at their Tahoe house, the one with the infinity pool overlooking the lake, the one I bought them as a wedding gift. I'm watching Kimberly by that pool with the new pool boy, Diego, 22, University of Nevada dropout with abs that could cut glass. And honey, the way she giggled when he applied her sunscreen? That wasn't innocent. That was calculated. I mentioned it to Mark later, casual like. Son, don't you think Kimberly was awfully friendly with that young man? You'd think I'd accused her of murder. Mom, stop. You're being paranoid. You've never liked Kimberly. You're always criticizing her clothes, her friends, her... I'm just saying, baby. I know that look. What look? Jesus, Mom, do you hear yourself? You're jealous because I'm happy. Jealous. That's what he called it. Not concerned, not protective, jealous. That should have been my first clue that Kimberly had already poisoned him against me, planted seeds that grew into thick, choking weeds. But I'm getting ahead of myself. After that fight, things got worse. Mark stopped coming to Sunday dinners, stopped returning my calls. When he did answer, conversations lasted 3 minutes. I'm busy, Mom. I'll call you back. He never did. Kimberly started posting photos on Instagram with captions like, "Finally living our life, our way," with emphasis that felt like tiny knives aimed at me. She bought a $12,000 Hermes Birkin bag. Mark swore it was on sale. I checked. Hermes doesn't do sales. I called the boutique. Then came the mysterious girls' weekends to Palm Springs. I asked Mark about them. He got defensive. Mom, she needs time with her friends. Why do you care? So I did what any concerned mother would do. I called those friends. Turned out, none of them went on those weekends. That's when I knew something was wrong. Really, truly wrong. 3 days before that terrible Tuesday, I broke into their house. Breaking and entering sounds so dramatic when you say it out loud. But honey, when you paid for the house, you keep a key. Mark never thought to ask for it back. Amateur mistake. It was a Saturday afternoon. Mark was in Denver for a real estate conference. I'd checked his calendar, and yes, I still had access to his shared family calendar because he never removed me. Kimberly posted Instagram stories from some spa in Paradise Valley getting a much-needed massage. Translation, I had 2 hours, maybe 3. My hands shook as I unlocked their front door. Not from fear, from rage that I even had to do this. Their home office was on the 2nd floor, decorated in that sterile, modern style Kimberly loved, all white and chrome and cold. On the wall behind Mark's desk hung a portrait of my late husband Robert in his military uniform. The audacity of putting a safe behind my Robert's face made my blood pressure spike. The combination? Their wedding date, 07-14-2018. I told Mark never to use obvious codes. Did he listen? Of course not. Inside that safe, I found the devil's paperwork. Divorce papers. Official, notarized, ready to file. Petitioner, Kimberly Clark Foster. Respondent, Mark Robert Foster. Filing date, August 15th, 2025. 2 weeks away. She was demanding 50% of all properties, $25,000 monthly alimony, the Tahoe house, have his business. Her lawyer, Patricia Hendricks, known in Scottsdale circles as the Barracuda. She'd destroyed 3 of my friends' husbands in divorces that left 'em eating ramen in studio apartments. Second document, a detailed asset list. Every property Mark owned. Every investment. The Mercedes G-Wagon, the boat, the vacation timeshare in Maui. And next to each item, handwritten notes in Kimberly's curly script. Mom's money, leverage in court. She knew. She'd known all along that everything was mine, and she'd been planning to use it against Mark, against me in court. My vision went red. My heart hammered so hard I thought I might stroke out right there in their pretentious office. But then I found the third document. And honey, that's when rage turned into ice-cold calculation. Text messages, printed out, between Kimberly and someone saved in her phone as Jason. The first message made my stomach drop. He still doesn't suspect anything. His mom is loaded too. Once we're married 7 years, we can go after family money and Arizona courts. This play nice with the old bat a little longer. Another. Can't wait to be done with this charade. Tahoe House is ours by September. Then we're free, baby. And the most damaging. Mark's so stupid, he doesn't even know his empire's mommy's money, LOL. This is gonna be the easiest divorce ever. Jason. Mark's business partner of 5 years. The man my son trusted with company finances. Jason Hartley, J.D., MBA, the man who handled the books like a surgeon with a scalpel. The man who'd been to our house for Christmas dinner. I sat in Mark's leather chair, the one I bought him, and I laughed. Actually laughed because the irony was too perfect. 3 days later, I invited Mark to lunch, his favorite. Pot roast with mashed potatoes, green beans, and my famous peach cobbler. The same meal I'd made him for every birthday for 42 years. He showed up 40 minutes late. Didn't apologize. Just walked in, checking his phone. Mom, I can't stay long. Kimberly needs me to... Sit down, Mark. Eat. Something in my voice made him obey. Good. The old Lisa still had authority. We ate in silence for 10 minutes. I watched him shovel food like he hadn't eaten in days. Finally, I spoke. How are things with you and Kimberly? His fork stopped midair. Fine. Why? Just asking, sweetheart. You seem stressed lately. I'm not stressed, I'm busy. There's a difference. Of course. I sipped my sweet tea. I just noticed at the 4th of July party, Kimberly seemed awfully close with that pool boy. Diego, was it? The fork clattered onto his plate. Mom, don't. Don't what, baby? Don't start with your paranoid theories about Kimberly. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you always criticizing her, always finding fault. I'm not criticizing. I'm concerned. You're controlling. He stood up, chair scraping across my hardwood floors. Every conversation, it's the same thing. You can't stand that I'm happy, that I have my life. Your life that I paid for? There it is. He was pacing now, face red, veins bulging in his neck. You can't help yourself. Every goddamn time you throw money in my face. I'm 42 years old and you still treat me like I'm 12. That's when I noticed her, Kimberly, standing in my hallway. I hadn't heard her come in, must have used Mark's key. And the look on her face, pure satisfaction. This wasn't spontaneous, this was staged. She wanted me to see Mark explode, wanted to record this moment for her divorce proceedings, wanted evidence of the toxic mother-in-law for court.
Too bad for her, I'm 3 steps ahead, baby girl." "Mark," I said quietly, "watch your tone." "Or what, Mom? You'll cut me off, take away my properties? You'd never. Try me." He laughed, actually laughed in my face. "You want to know the truth, the real truth?" I glanced at Kimberly. She was recording on her phone. Perfect. "Go ahead, son. Tell me the truth." "I wish you were dead." The words echoed. My late husband's portrait seemed to tilt on the wall. "There, I said it. Maybe then I could live my life without you hovering, judging, controlling every damn decision. Maybe then I'd finally be free." I didn't cry, didn't gasp, didn't give either of them the satisfaction. I simply picked up my phone. Speed dial number 2, Richard Pemberton, my attorney. Speaker mode on. "Richard, Lisa Foster." Mark's rage evaporated. "Mom, wait!" "Freeze distributions and suspend his signatory privileges. Then remove Mark from everything, the properties, the trust, the business accounts, everything, today." Richard's voice calm and professional. "Lisa, are you certain this is—" "Every property deed lists me as primary owner, Mark as beneficiary. Every business account has me as investor of record. My father taught me well, Richard. My son just told me he wishes I were dead. Revoke it all, today." Mark dropped to his knees, literally. My 6'2" son crumpled like a paper doll. "Mom, no, please, I didn't mean it. I was angry." "Oh, baby boy, you meant it." That's when Kimberly made her first mistake. She walked into the living room, phone still recording, and her mask slipped. She was smiling. "Mark, honey, what's happening?" I locked eyes with her. "You're good, sweetheart. Real good. Had me almost fooled. But here's the thing about old Southern women. We invented manipulation before you were even born." Her smile faltered. "Diego says hi, by the way. Chatty young man, especially when a grandmother offers him $500 for the truth about those private swimming lessons you've been taking." Mark looked between us confused. What is she talking about?" "Oh, honey, your wife has been very busy." I pulled out my phone, opened my photos. "But before we get to that, let's talk about what I found in your safe 3 days ago, on Saturday." Kimberly's face went white as snow. "Sit down, Kimberly. We're going to have a family meeting."
"I don't have to listen to this." "Oh, but you do, because I have something you want, and you have something my son needs to see." Richard was still on speakerphone, breathing quietly, listening to every word. Good. I'd need him to witness this. I held up my phone, showing Mark the first photo, his precious divorce papers. "August 15th, Kimberly. That's 2 weeks away. Were you even going to tell him, or were you just going to have him served at his office like the coward you are?" Mark snatched my phone. His hand shook as he read. "What the hell? Kimberly, is this real?" "Mark, baby, let me explain." "Explain what? That you're filing for divorce? That you want half of everything?" I walked to my bar cart, poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon. Robert's good stuff. I was going to need it. "Keep scrolling, baby boy. It gets better." The asset list appeared. Mark's eyes widened as he read Kimberly's handwritten notes. "Mom's money, leverage in court." His voice cracked. You knew all along that everything was—" "Of course she knew. Why do you think she married you? Love, please. She married a meal ticket, and you were too besotted to see it." Kimberly lunged for the phone. Mark jerked it away. "Don't you dare her." I wasn't done, not even close. "Now swipe to the text messages, the ones between your wife and Jason Hartley. your business partner, your friend. Yes, the JD MBA. The color drained from Mark's face as he read. 1 message, 2, 5, 10, each one more damaging than the last. Play nice with the old bat a little longer, ha ha ha. Mark's so stupid he don't even know his empire is mommy's money, lol. Can't wait to be done with this charade. And finally, meet me at the Sedona Resort tonight, room 347. Bring that thing I like. Mark looked up at Kimberly. Jason? You're sleeping with Jason? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again like a fish drowning in air. That's not, those messages are fake. She faked them. I laughed, did I? Richard, tell them about our friend Patricia Chen. Richard's voice through the speaker. Mrs. Foster hired Phoenix Discretion Services 3 weeks ago. Private investigator Patricia Chen has documented 17 separate meetings between Mrs. Foster and Mr. Hartley over the past 6 months. Hotel receipts, restaurant bills, security footage, a joint bank account in the Cayman Islands containing $340,000, money embezzled from Foster and Associates. The room spun. At least that's how I imagine Mark felt, because he grabbed the edge of my sofa to steady himself. That's impossible. I would have noticed $340,000 missing. You didn't notice because Jason's your CFO. He controls the books, been siphoning money in small amounts for 2 years. $15,000 here, $20,000 there, buried in operating expenses and vendor payments. You trusted him. Big mistake, baby boy. Kimberly backed toward the door. I moved faster than a 68-year-old woman should, blocking her exit.
Where do you think you're going, sweetheart? This is insane. Mark, don't listen to her. She's lying to turn you against me because she's a bitter, lonely old woman who can't stand smack. My palm connected with her cheek. Not hard enough to really hurt, but hard enough to shut her up. Mark's eyes went wide. I'd never hit anyone in my life, not even when I caught a man I dated in 1982 cheating. You done? I asked her. Good. Now here's how this is going to work. You have 2 choices. I pulled a folder from my purse. Yes, I'd been prepared, and placed it on the coffee table. Choice 1, I take all this evidence, the texts, the bank records, Patricia Chen's surveillance photos, and I give them to a federal prosecutor. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, that's 5 to 10 years in federal prison. And honey, they don't have yoga classes at FCI Phoenix. Kimberly's knees buckled. She grabbed the doorframe for support. Choice 2, you sign a post-nuptial waiver and an uncontested divorce settlement my lawyer drafted yesterday. You take nothing, not a penny, not a lamp, not even your clothes. I'll have them shipped to whatever hole you crawl into. You walk out that door, you never contact Mark again, and I don't press charges. You can't. This isn't legal. Try me. My daddy was the most feared attorney in Phoenix for 40 years. I learned from the best. Mark finally found his voice. Kimberly, did you love me? Ever? She looked at him, and honey, the truth was written all over her face. I thought so, he whispered, then louder. Get out! Mark, get out of my mother's house! His roar shook the windows. Kimberly grabbed her Hermes bag, that $12,000 monstrosity, and ran for the door. Leave the bag, sweetie, I called after her. Bought with Mark's credit card, which means my money. She threw it at my feet and fled. The front door slammed so hard my grandmother's china rattled in the cabinet. Silence. Mark collapsed onto my sofa, head in his hands.
And that's when the real conversation began. For 5 full minutes, my son sobbed, deep, body-racking sobs that sounded like they were tearing him apart from the inside. I sat next to him, not touching, just present, and let him break. Finally, he looked up, eyes red, face wet, voice destroyed. "You told me you wished I was dead." "Yes, you did." "You don't deserve my forgiveness." "No, you don't." He flinched like I'd struck him. "But," I continued, "you're gonna earn it back, slowly, with conditions." "What conditions?" I stood, smoothed my dress, walked to the window overlooking my garden. The roses Robert planted were blooming, red as blood. "Richard is gonna restructure everything. You'll earn back what's yours, piece by piece, property by property, but not as gifts, as achievements." "I don't understand." "You're going to therapy. Dr. Sharon Mitchell, she's excellent. Twice a week, non-negotiable." "Mom, you're coming to Sunday dinners. Every week, no excuses." "Okay, you're going to learn what Daddy taught me. How to protect assets, how to spot a con artist, and how to value what you have before you lose it." He nodded, wiping his face with his sleeve. "And Mark, you're going to rebuild Foster and Associates from the ground up, without Jason, without shortcuts, with your own work, your own reputation." "What if I can't?" I turned to face him. "Then you'll fail, and you'll learn from failure, but you'll never again take for granted what someone sacrificed to give you." He stood, walked to me, stopped. "Can I hug you?" "Not yet." His face crumpled. "But soon, baby boy, soon." 2 months later, everything changed. Sunday dinner. Mark arrived early. First time in 8 months, he brought flowers, helped set the table without being asked. We ate pot roast and talked about his therapy sessions, his progress, his plans for the business. Then he asked the question I'd been waiting for. "Mom, what happened to Jason?" I smiled. Oh, honey, this was my favorite part. Jason thought he was getting immunity by cooperating. What he actually got was me reporting him to the IRS, the SEC, and the Arizona Bar Association. He's a lawyer, was, license suspended permanently, assets frozen, currently working at a car wash in Tempe, living with his mother in a 1-bedroom apartment. His girlfriend, yes, he had another one besides Kimberly, left him for his younger brother. Mark's jaw dropped. Never underestimate a woman whose father was the most feared attorney in Phoenix, baby boy. He laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. And Kimberly, studio apartment in Mesa, working as a receptionist at a dental office, makes $12 an hour. She tried to contact you 47 times. I had Richard send a cease and desist letter. The attempts stopped. Good. We ate in comfortable silence. Then Mark said something that made my heart squeeze. "Mom, I need to tell you something. That day when I said those words, I was the worst version of myself. Kimberly poisoned me against you for years, and I let it, because blaming you for my failures was easier than admitting I was coasting on your success." I put down my fork. "You didn't just save me from Kimberly. You saved me from myself. You loved me enough to let me fall, to teach me that actions have consequences, that respect isn't given, it's earned, even from your mother, especially from your mother. Mark, I'm going to spend the rest of my life earning back your trust, not because of money, because you're my mom, and I took you for granted." I reached across the table and took his hand. First time I'd touched him since that terrible Tuesday. Now I have a confession. His face went pale. What? I pulled out a folder, the same one I'd shown him 2 months ago. Opened it, let him see the papers inside. I never actually removed you from the inheritance. He stared. What? It was a bluff, baby boy. A lesson. Richard and I never filed a single document. Everything is still yours. Always was, always will be. But you said... I said I could do it, and I would have if you'd needed it. But what you needed more was to feel what it's like to lose everything, to understand what you almost threw away. Not the money, us. He laughed through tears. You manipulative, brilliant, terrifying woman. I learned from the best. My daddy used to say, sometimes the threat is stronger than the execution. He stood, walked around the table, and wrapped me in the longest hug we'd shared in 6 years, since Robert died. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby boy. We pulled apart. He wiped his eyes. So, what now? Now, you finish therapy. You rebuild your business. You find someone who deserves you, not your money, you. And you remember that bridge that exploded? Yeah? We're building a new one, stronger this time, with fireproof materials. He grinned, deal. 3 months later, Mark paid for Sunday dinner for the first time in his life, with money he earned. We toasted with Robert's good bourbon. And honey, that's how you teach a lesson without destroying a soul. That's how you love someone enough to let 'em fall and catch 'em right before they hit bottom. My son screamed that I wish I was dead, but what he really wished for was freedom from his own failures. And sometimes the greatest gift a mother can give her child is showing her the truth, even when the truth explodes everything in its path. Now tell me, honey, if blood's thicker than water, why does betrayal always taste like rust? Drop a comment if you felt that, tap that like if justice was served hot, and subscribe for more stories that remind folks karma may take her time, but she never forgets the address. Thank you for listening. See you in our next story.